day. I am especially pleased to introduce our guest speaker and one of our own MBA alums, Hugh Blackwell. Now, Hugh is the Principal Officer of Blackstar Diversified Enterprises, or BDE, a company he started in 2016. Before starting BDE, Hugh spent 14 consecutive years driving revenue growth for Fortune 500 companies, Siemens and Schneider Electric, if you have heard of them. I bet you have, right? Since then, BDE has grown into a 10 million plus revenue business with a customer base in the DC, Baltimore Metro, and Louisiana regions. Hugh brings a background in electrical distribution equipment engineering and management, along with a strong focus on growth and cost discipline. Now, what makes Hugh's story particularly relevant to everyone in this room is that he sat where you are sitting today. Here, his undergraduate degree from Howard University and his MBA from George Mason University in 2012. So, as you think about where your MBA or MSM might take you, whether that's advancing within our organization, changing direction, or building something of your own, Hugh's journey offers a terrific perspective of where this degree, experience, and willingness to take a risk can lead. Please join me in welcoming back to Mason Hugh Blackwell.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me? Yes. All right, good, because it is party time, okay? All right, I want to see some smiles on faces. I'm not about to bore you to death. I'm here to have fun with you guys and celebrate what you guys are doing, what you guys are getting into. So you guys ready to have some fun with me? Everybody ready? All right. Can I get a little louder? Come on. All right. So nobody's taking an exam today, so everybody's cool. You may have taken an exam before, but I wasn't here, so don't blame that on me. So you guys made it to the home stretch of orientation. So give yourself, your future classmates, your future professors, and future business partners a round of applause. So I'm Hugh Blackwell, Principal Officer at Blackstar Diversified Enterprise, and a proud alumnus of George Mason MBA 2012. And I just recently learned alumnus means a male graduate. So that was an interesting tidbit I just learned. So I wanted to kick off this evening with a simple reminder to you guys. You guys have made a fantastic decision, okay? This is a really, really phenomenal decision. And it's a great start because making decisions is a large percentage of making good decisions is a large percentage of the battle. So you guys made a fantastic decision. So think about what you've done. You guys deliberately chose to raise the bar on your life, rearrange your schedule, and chase something bigger. To give you a little context on who's standing up here, I'm originally from Gary, Indiana. I earned my bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Howard University. And early in my career, I also became a registered financial planner. I then spent 15 years in the corporate world, driving revenue for engineering giants, Siemens and Schneider Electric, before taking the leap to launch my firm, Blackstar Diversified Enterprises, in 2016. Today, we specialize in power distribution and traffic safety and control infrastructure equipment and integration services. And I know that's a little bit of word soup, so I'm going to sort of explain it and break it down. So when you guys turn on your lights, plug in your devices, or drive safely through a smart intersection on your morning or evening commute, our equipment and systems are behind the scenes keeping the power grid reliable and keeping families safe on the roads. So my firm builds the invisible backbone that keeps communities running smoothly and safely every single day. And on a personal note, I live in New Orleans with my beautiful wife, Dr. Jamani Blackwell, who owns her own practice, Enlightened Dental, and our 3 boys who are 11, 9, and 7 years old. So those with kids, trust me, I know a thing or two about juggling a demanding career, family, and big ambitions. So it is certainly doable, and it's actually funner along the way when you got a bunch of people around you that are there for you. I see we got one right here. Awesome. So looking out at this room, we have a powerful mix here tonight. To our Masters in Management students who are early in your careers, you're building a foundational launch pad that will set the trajectory for your next 30 years. To our MBA professionals, of which I was when I started at Mason, you're bringing years of experience across government, tech, consulting, engineering, and finance. You're positioning yourselves to step into executive leadership and ownership. In today's dynamic post-graduation landscape, industries aren't looking for textbook thinkers. They're looking for agile, collaborative problem solvers who know how to build bridges and drive real business impact. So you're sitting in the right seat at the exact right time. When I was sitting right where you guys are now, I knew Mason would sharpen my business skills, but I didn't realize how much it would expand my horizon. One of the defining moments of my time at Mason was the MBA Global Residency. So we traveled down to South America, visiting Santiago, Chile, as well as Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I learned how to pronounce it by being there in the culture. I said Buenos Aires, they said no, it's Buenos Aires. And it's not Chile, it's Chile. That's to the Chileans. So phenomenal experience there through my MBA residency. And that single trip, it completely changed my framework for business. So seeing operations on the ground opened my eyes to the power of nearshoring and strategic outsourcing. So how leveraging talent across borders isn't just for Fortune 500 companies, but a vital engine for driving margin and scale in a small business, of which Blackstar is. So fast forward to today, Blackstar Diversified operates not just in North America, but we've expanded dynamically in South America with active businesses in Guyana and Suriname. And if you guys aren't familiar with those two countries, recently Guyana discovered oil in about 2015, and Guyana's Seabrook block is the #1 profit producer for Exxon. So sweet light crude comes from that area, and they're developing, and we're actually in those two areas, in those two regions. And I got a question.
Oh yeah, no worries.
You want?
I just was curious if it's public or government.
The company
The oil
in Guyana, is it public for the public consumption?
Right, or is it run like Venezuela, like where the government?
Oh no, it's ExxonMobil.
Okay.
So ExxonMobil has a relationship with the government of Guyana. Exxon extracts, the government collects revenues, and they pass along royalties to the people of Guyana. So they're developing in a different manner than Venezuela did. Venezuela was private, and then the government took over. And so they couldn't keep up their facilities. But Guyana and Suriname discovered recently as well large amounts of sweet light crude. So we're in those two countries functioning as a distributor / integrator for the equipment that we sell. And I'll dig into it a little bit deeper.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No problem. This is what I'm here for. You guys got questions asked. So I'll dig into it a little deeper after I go through this. But The global seeds planted during my Mason residency directly shaped how I structure my company today. Now, as much as Mason did for me, I'm gonna be really real with you guys. I made a major mistake while I was sitting in those seats. And I don't want you guys to repeat that major mistake that I made. I did not focus enough on intentionally building connections inside my target market sector while doing my MBA. Listen to me on this. Whether you plan to climb the executive ladder or build your own business, you need to map out the connections in your specific industry right now. That should be a focus of yours going into your MBA program or your master's program. You really need to map things out as well as you can, as fast as you can, to start you on that track. So connecting with classmates, alumni, and guest speakers in your sector gives you direct access to future business owners, key decision makers at peer firms, and an insider's view into the true complexity of the space that you guys want to be in. It positions you to leverage other people's expertise rather than trying to figure out everything on your own. And sometimes we get caught up into situations where we want to figure it out on our own. We want to pat ourselves on the back and say, oh, what a great job I did. But having others to lean on and others to get information from so you don't hit those same barriers that they hit is extremely valuable. So make sure you guys map that out. Make sure that's a focus. And if you're an entrepreneur or plan to become one, these sector relationships, they're pure gold. They are the exact foundation you need to structure possible joint ventures down the road with your business. A strategic joint venture can instantly transform your firm's capabilities, make your firm exponentially more valuable, and land you contracts that you could never win alone. So I want you guys to really get this clear. Smart leaders don't try to know everything. They build networks of people who do. So build out your network with intelligent people that are going to help you achieve what you want to achieve. Your ability to leverage other people's expertise will always scale faster, reach further, and create more wealth than relying on your intelligence alone. So stop trying to be the hero in the room and start being the architect who connects those in the room. That brings me to another piece of advice. Focus on acquiring real skills and experiences, not just chasing grades. So out in the market, as you guys probably know, nobody asks you for your GPA. And to the educators in this building, my apologies, I'm not making this point as a reason for your students to slack off on their schoolwork. So I bear no blame for that, all right? But I am saying that GPA is not what your future employers or your future business partners are interested in. So what I do know is that clients, partners, and employers care about your capability. Can you solve complex problems? Can you build a strategy? And can you execute those two things? So treat every group project, case study, and team assignment as a live environment to hone those real world leadership skills. The grade on your transcript is temporary. The tactical skill set that you build is what pays dividends for the rest of your career. And finally, keep your eyes on the ultimate prize. So this degree is a vehicle. It's a powerful tool, but it's not the destination. Don't lose sight of the things in life that actually matter the most. Your physical health, your mental well-being, and that's extremely important, your mental well-being. That's like super important. So take care of yourself mentally, and do what you need to maintain, just strength mentally, because it's tough. I won't go dig too deep, but protecting your peace and properly investing your hard-earned capital so that your money works for you, not the other way around. Because I think ultimately, probably all of us here want to earn more money after this is over. I don't think there's anybody in this room that's like, yeah, I'm doing my MBA, getting my master's, and I want to keep the same salary. So what you want to do is figure out ways to make what you earn work for you as you get older, so you don't have to work for it harder and harder as you age. So mainly whatever matters most to you in your core, use this degree, use these skills, and use this network as a tool to protect, enhance, and achieve those life goals. So everybody, take a deep breath with me. All right, a couple deep breaths. Get ready to dive in and start building these relationships right now at the reception. And congratulations to each of you. And welcome to the Mason family, and let's go win. So I hope I didn't bore you guys to death. I tried to keep it a little entertaining. But, I think we had my business up there. When I got here, I think I spent about 2.5 years in the program. And at that time, I was at Schneider Electric, and I was in a sales position, and I really wanted to be a sales manager. I was like, this is the only way I can be a sales manager if I get my MBA and I show Schneider Electric that I'm smart. And I didn't realize a lot of this stuff. So I got into the program and I started interacting with others, that they started to teach me about, all right, it's more to it than just going back and, trying to be a manager and trying to do this and trying to do that. And I also had an entrepreneurial spirit. So it was a couple of entrepreneurial classes, as well as the global residency, that sort of opened my eyes to the reality, which was, I can do better with my own company than I can working for others. And I think some of you guys are probably going to experience that, because I was a difficult employee to deal with. I was a great salesman, but I was very difficult to deal with because I never really bought into working for somebody else. So this is an experience that some of you guys may have. Others may have different experiences. Others may get to the point where, okay, I'm an executive here. This is awesome. All right. My stock options are good. Everything's working for me. I'm retiring at 45. I'm retiring at 50. I'm moving to Costa Rica. So it's a lot of different ways. It's a lot of different goals that you can achieve with this program. And I'm very thankful for George Mason. I am a Howard University alumni, but I would think this right here is more of a situation with George Mason where I took a gamble on the school, and I think the school also took a gamble on me, and they both paid off. And as I see the growth, this facility was not here when I was in school. So the growth of George Mason has just been phenomenal. So I am so glad that, more and more people are taking on this MBA and taking on this master's, because it's a phenomenal school that you guys are going to be in. And they don't really go cheap on anything, as you can see with these facilities. So once again, congratulations to you guys. I'll take any questions if you have any questions. If not, we got drink tickets behind here, just FYI. I'm sure you guys knew that already. But you know, if you guys got any questions, let me know. I'll be around at the reception, hanging around. So thank you guys again for your attention. And nobody fell asleep. I was checking everybody out, so thank you guys again.
I'll give you one last one.
All right, what's up?
I know you haven't been here all day. Ask a lot of this other questions.
Go ahead.
So you work like traffic and infrastructure, cameras, etc. So you're responsible for my red light ticket.
Well, good question. I knew, and I had a conversation about Flock right outside. So what we do is, so we're a distributor / integrator of traffic safety and control equipment, and that's just one of the sectors that we do. So we sell static signs, stop signs, street signs, poles that hold the street signs. We sell traffic signals, all the way to mobility systems that are more along that specialized camera setup. So we don't sell any speed cameras, so don't come after me. No red light cameras, none of that stuff. All right, so the cameras that we sell are set to create or optimize flows on heavily traveled corridors. So essentially, they count out vehicles and they figure out, okay, Sunday morning at 9 a.m. the flow is lighter, so we'll give this right away to the other corridor versus the main corridor or whatever. And it learns over time. So you guys, it's AI / machine learning that's learning these traffic flows over time. So that's what we do in traffic. And then power distribution, I think that's the more boring one. What's that? So we sell 2 data centers, but what we sell is the switch gear and the transformers. So if you guys hear about a lot of the data center construction, you may hear about a couple things. So you may hear about delays because of equipment, and a lot of that equipment is the equipment that we sell or our competitors are selling that type of equipment. And it's heavily engineered equipment, so lead time on equipment is, 12 to 16, 18-ish months on a lot of the equipment because it's very customized. And then you also hear about environmental concerns with data centers, water usage, things of that sort. So we also sell products that aid in the consumption of cool water, because a lot of data centers use water loops to cool their servers versus forced air. And you gotta put cold water in, it comes back out hot, you gotta make it cold again, right? So they buy more and more chillers to keep making the water cold, but you're also using water from the community. So we sell a product that utilizes less cold water. It uses like a dielectric type of fluid that functions in 2 phases, and they call it 2-phase cooling. It's a company called Celsius, and it cools the chip without using a bunch of cold water. So we are in data centers, and that's the more sexy part of what we do in data centers. But the bare bones of what we sell is going to be switchgear transformers that'll be the electrical power distribution of those facilities. And that may be a data center, that may be a college building, that may be Federal Reserve, WMATA, the subway. So we sell power distribution equipment to a lot of entities still here in this area. So that's a little bit about the company based on your question. So we got any more questions?
Yeah, so I don't really know much about your industry, but I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your thoughts of what was it like for the first 3 to 4 years when you were starting this?
When I was starting the business. So my dad and stepfather were entrepreneurs. So I grew up seeing the day-to-day battles with what they had to deal with in terms of employees in terms of purchasing products to buy and resell, things of that sort. So the first 3 to 4 years of my business, they were structured initially because I worked with a smaller company, and I don't have them up here. It's a smaller company called Switchgear Solutions. And they were headed in a different direction. So I negotiated with the owner to maintain customers in the DC metro area because they were out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So my negotiations with them were, hey, I'm gonna maintain these customers. You get a percentage of the profits when we sell the product. And he's getting out of the business. So he's like, heck yeah, that works. Because I would've got zero. I would've got 100% of zero versus getting this small percentage from you. So that sort of carried my business along for probably the first 12 to 18 months. And over that time, we had customers that I had acquired working at Siemens and Schneider Electric already. So I was able to bring them over because the equipment that I sell, we sell manufacturers of equipment all over the US. They're mainly US, but they're what we call OEMs, so they're smaller manufacturers. They're like 50 million, 100 million, maybe a couple 100 million, versus the Siemens and Schneiders that are billion, multinational. So those are the companies that build some of the products for the big companies, so we can compete directly with them. So it's just personal relationships that grew and developed. And a lot of the folks that I was selling to, they wanted me to be in business for a certain amount of time because they did not want to buy from somebody who's going to be there for 6 months. And in 2 months after those 6 months, they're gone. So they wanted to make sure my company survived whatever their period of time was. And I feel like most of them were 18 months to 2 years. So once I got to that point, more calls came in, and then I started to build the business out from there. And what do they say, 7 years? Or is that marriage? Is 7 years business or marriage? It's one of the two. So, you know, it's like you sort of get to a critical mass at a certain time frame where your business, I wouldn't say it runs itself, but your customers are going to be repeat customers. Because if they've been there for the first 7 years, they obviously like you, right? So that's sort of, if that answers your question, that was sort of the first couple of years of building a business. And it was myself that did most of the work. Over time, I've built out my team, and I spoke a lot about nearshoring. So we also use a lot of contract labor that does a lot of our project management. So we can build out our team really quickly, and we can go after really large projects because we have a really strong outsourced project management team. And that was one of the things this MBA global residency taught me, because I'm like, wow, we going to Chile and Argentina. And Professor Rockman, he's like, well, they're on the same time frame, because you don't have to call when somebody's usually asleep. If they're in South America, they're same time on the clock as you. So you can work with them much easier than you can with someone across the ocean in Asia that may have to wake up at 3 a.m. to start work. So that was one of the things that I learned, and it made me more comfortable exploring that and going into that, because I saw it, and it was something that George Mason said, this is viable. So without that, I don't think I would have gotten to that point. And I believe that point has supported my business for the past 3 or 4 years and helped us really punch. If you guys are boxing fans, punch higher than your weight class is essentially what it did. So.
All right. We also want to give you an MBA jacket for your side. all the way from New Orleans today.
Thank you, guys.
I think they're sticking around for the reception.
Yeah, we're gonna hang
Okay,
around.
very good. So I'm sure you all have more questions, so please feel free to chat more. This concludes the portion of our MSM and MBA program immersions. For our MBA students, we do have one last survey to get some feedback about the day, so I'll put up the QR code here shortly. And then don't forget to get your jackets on the way out. We got your sizes for earlier in the day. Okay, so let me pull up that slide.